Hi, it's Dave Layfield with Affordable Housing Online. Today is Wednesday, March 11th, 2015, and welcome to our weekly Section 8 update. This is a little video broadcast I do that talks about open Section 8 waiting lists that are either open now or will be opening soon. I also answer some user questions relating to affordable housing assistance. We'll jump right in. Right now we're tracking 124 waiting lists that are open right now. Seven additional ones that will be opening real soon, and we know of 14 that have closed over the last 30 days. You can get all the information about each one of those on our open Section 8 waiting list page. We'll embed a link to that page in this event feed. Many of you are probably actually watching this video from that very page. If you just look below the video stream, you're going to see a long list of open Section 8 waiting lists, and then at the very bottom, the list of waiting lists that recently closed. So I'll jump right in now. So here's a big one. We get a lot of folks from Florida that are inquiring on a regular basis, and the big news that we just stumbled on this week is Broward County, Florida, is opening their waiting list on March 13th, which is actually this Friday, and it'll be open through March 19th. It's online only. It's a lottery. They'll be selecting 1,000 applications. There is a preference for disabled and elderly households, and we'll keep updating as we get more information about that opening and update the Broward County page on our website. Another one that's a fairly larger market is Milford, Connecticut. That one opens on March 19th and will be open for a few days until March 21st. It is actually a print application only. It's a lottery. There will be 500 pre-applications accepted. There are several preferences, including elderly, disabled, and some others. And if you go to the Milford, Connecticut page on our website, you'll see all those details. It is postal mail and in-person, and then there will be an in-person drawing on March 31st at 2 p.m. at the community room of one of the housing authority's locations. So the best thing is to go to our website and look up the details there on the Milford, Connecticut page. Another one that we just found a day or maybe even yesterday was Mojave County, Arizona. It's a couple hours from Vegas, 3 hours from Phoenix or so. That waiting list is opening on April 3rd. It's actually going to be open for a while, open until May 29th. They've got 280. It's so strange. 284 slots, 63 slots for homeless veterans. There is a preference for local residents of the county. You can get all the details on our Mojave County, Arizona page. There's a couple of other waiting lists I'll talk about that are open right now or will be real soon. Longview, Washington is opening on March 16th. It'll be open until March 19th. It's print and online. It's not a lottery. It's ranked based on time and date of submittal. There's several preferences, including elderly and disabled. You can get information about that on our Longview, Washington page. Another really big one I want to remind you of, I've talked about it in the last one or two updates, is Seattle, Washington. It is opening on the 23rd of this month. It'll be open through April 10th. It's online. It's a lottery, and the last time they opened was in 2013. And if that's any pattern, it'll be a couple of years before you'll have another opportunity, so you should jump on that. Check our Seattle, Washington page for details. Another one that we talked about last week is Stamford, Connecticut. It is opening on March 25th. It'll be open until April 1st. It's online. It's a lottery with a maximum of 500 applicants chosen for the lottery. You can, again, get details on that at our Stamford page on Affordable Housing Online. And then lastly, Waukegan, Illinois, which is north of Chicago. It's opening on March 26th. It's open until April 2nd. It's online only, and they have a new website, and we haven't seen yet, and we keep checking, we haven't seen yet anything more than their one-page website, but they do say there will be a link to it eventually, and we'll make sure that we update the details on our page for Waukegan whenever they update that. So those are a few of the open or opening soon waiting lists that we know of. If you want to get details on all 130 or so, again, go to that open Section 8 waiting list page. All right, I got a couple of questions to answer this week from our users, and I'll jump right in with the first one. So I've been on the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher waiting list for several years and recently was notified that my name had come to the top of the list. If I am currently receiving housing assistance through another program such as public housing, low-income housing tax credits, or project-based Section 8, do I still qualify for this Section 8 tenant-based voucher? That's a great question, and the answer is yes. Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program regulations do not prevent anyone from applying for or receiving assistance through another affordable housing assistance program. Now, you can't receive duplicate subsidies, so you can't receive a housing choice voucher at the same time you're living in a low-income housing. I'm sorry, you actually can have a voucher and live in a low-income housing tax credit project, but you can't receive project-based Section 8 or public housing assistance and receive a housing choice voucher at the same time. So if, for example, you're in a project-based Section 8 property or a public housing property and you're on the waiting list for a couple of years and then all of a sudden your name comes up, then you would have to give up the subsidy associated with the project-based Section 8 or the public housing in order to receive your voucher. Now, I will caution you that I have seen at least one time where a housing authority created a local preference for folks that weren't already living in or receiving some sort of housing assistance, and that happened to be earlier this year. Lexington, Kentucky opened their Section 8 waiting list, and one of their local preferences was for people who were not currently receiving assistance through other subsidy programs. I haven't seen that before, and I don't think it's a very common practice for a housing authority to establish that type of local preference, but you should at least check for that when you're looking in your area. So I hope that answered your question. Next question was, will landlords rent to tenants with an eviction? And yeah, that's a pretty tough question. I'm going to say that more times than not, probably the answer is no. You know, you've heard about credit scores and your credit report, and you know, if you don't pay a credit card bill or a medical bill, that's not good. It's not good for your credit worthiness. It's not good for what a landlord is looking for in a tenant that may pay their bills. If you have an eviction, that's much worse even than not paying a medical bill or a credit card bill, because that's the rent. That is your rent. That is what you have to pay in order to have a roof over your head, and the landlord's going to look at that as an indication as to whether or not you're going to pay your rent to him. So it's really important that you keep your credit clean, and evictions are part, whether you realize it or not, can become part of your credit report, because technology is sophisticated now, and there's plenty of services out there that will sell to a landlord eviction databases. So if you and they're all usually public record through the courthouse. So it's pretty easy to find out if you have an eviction on your record. What do you do if you already do have an eviction and it's too late? Well, I think the first step is you have to tell a prospective landlord that you do have an eviction on your record. They're going to find out anyway, and you'd rather that they find out from you than if they find out after running a credit report, and then they come back and say you didn't say you had an eviction. Well, so then when you volunteer the information before they learn about it, at least you have the opportunity to explain why you have an eviction. Why is it there? What have you done since then to change your habits or do better at paying your bills? Now, if the eviction is for another non-financial reason, then you have other bigger problems. So, for example, let's say you were evicted because you had a visitor who was involved in a fight and got arrested, and you brought that element. Unsafe element into the community. That's even harder. to deal with. So you need to do your best to protect your reputation, and an eviction is part of your tenant reputation. And then a second sub question to that came from another renter user on our website was, can I get a Section 8 voucher if I have an eviction on my record? And for the most part, housing authorities won't deny you Section 8 if you have an eviction on your record. However, the problem there is that you've got to find a landlord that's going to rent to you and accept your Section 8 voucher. These days, it's hard enough as it is to get landlords to accept a Section 8 voucher, even if you have a clean credit report and no evictions. So though the housing authority may not say, may not deny you a voucher because you have an eviction, a landlord that you take that voucher to might actually do so. So anyway, it's really important to try and keep that record clean. If it's already a little jaded, then you're going to need to try and address that with any prospective landlords and deal with that before the issue comes up. All right, and then the last question is really, for me, it's like second nature. But sometimes being in the industry, working in every day, I sometimes forget that the general public doesn't really know what the word affordable, the phrase affordable housing means. So affordable housing is, could be considered a fairly generic term. However, in my business, the affordable housing industry in America, we have some pretty tight definitions of it based on government regulations. When it comes to rental housing, which is my specialty, affordable housing tends to mean rental housing that is affordable to low-income renters. Okay, what's the definition of affordable and what's the definition of low income? Let's start with low income. The definition of a low-income person is someone who's earning 60% of the area median income or less, which is basically, in non-statistical language, it's 60% of what the average income is for the area. Median isn't exactly average, but it's probably the layman's best way to look at it. And then the definition of affordable is if it's 30% of your income or less. So if you make $1,000 a month, the government's definition of affordable is $300, 30% of that. So if your rent is more than $300, then the government would say it's not affordable. So when we talk about affordable housing, we're talking about rents that are 30% of your income or less for 4 persons earning 60% or less of the average income for the area. So anyway, I know it's probably fairly complicated. We'll throw a couple of links up in the event to send you to some places to try and clarify that if you're interested. And if it's a little bit cloudy, you can certainly send some follow-up questions, and I'll be happy to talk about it next week. All right, I think that's it for our Hangout today. I appreciate everyone for coming and hanging out for a little while. Again, go to our website. There's plenty of resources there for, in addition to Section 8. And if you've got any questions that you'd like for us to answer next week, go ahead and post them in the Google Plus feed or even over on Facebook. All right, thanks a lot, and have a good day.